Hello there and welcome. My name is Jimmy Wikman, and usually on this channel I do a lot of videos about the Atlassian ecosystem. But today I'm going to make a video for the Invision Community version 5 that is currently in beta. And the reason for that one is that I've been using the Invision Community for almost 20 years now. And it's the platform that I'm using to build my website, and it's also the version I am waiting for now so I can actually rebuild it from scratch and create a new website for myself and for you. And the reason why I'm making a video for this one while it is still in beta is because I created a test site and people liked it, and they started asking, how did you configure this one? How did you set it up the way you have? And then one of the founders, Matt, even asked me if I would be interested into making a blog post about it, and I said that I can make a video instead. So that's why I'm making this video. So what we are going to do is we're going to take a look at my test site that I have, and then I've created a brand new test site, and I'm going to show you step by step how I built it so you can replicate it for yourself. So let's start jumping into my test site so I can show you what the fuss is all about and what it is that people really want me to show you. So here we are now on the test site, and this is what I have created, and this is what people then apparently thought looked very good. And they wanted my help then to see how do you configure this one so we can get the same one. And let me just switch it over to a light mode also so you can see the difference for it. So what we are going to do now is we're going to jump over to this site. This is the demo site, the new demo site. And we're going to build exactly, or not exactly, but we're going to build a similar setup that we have then for the test site. So we're going to take that one and make it into this one. And I'm going to do this in dark mode because I like dark mode better, but we're going to switch over from time to time just to show you the difference. So just to show you then, the first thing, I'm not going to recreate the whole navigation system. I'm going to show you how the navigation system works, and also how the different sections here that I built. And some of them are custom made, so I've actually built them custom made. I will just show you then, for example, this component up here is custom made. And this one is also from a database that I built. We're going to create a new database just like this one, just so you see how you can create the blog very quickly, unless you want to use the standard blog functionality that is built in if you are buying this module. But let's dig into it. So the first step that we're going to do is rebrand it, and this one is super easy. So let me switch over to the actual one here, and I'm actually going to pause this one a little bit, and I'm going to move some windows around and prepare to show you how we can rebrand this one. So I'll be right back. So then let's jump into how to actually configure this one. So the first thing that we need to do then is to go to the theme editor. This is the new theme editor for V5, which is one of the best ones I've ever seen. So Aaron and the team behind the Invision Community have done really great work for this one. So once you activate this one, you will have all the items here on the side. And maybe it's a little bit small, so let me zoom in a little bit for you so you can actually see. There we go. Now it should be more easy to see. So you have a bunch of things that you can actually do here. So the first thing we are going to do is we're going to take a look at the color palette. And then we're going to go through all of these and show you what settings you can have that I'm having now then for my site. So for the color palette, I'm only changing the primary. I'm fine actually with the secondary and the base. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to open that one, and in this one you can change the color to whatever you want, and you can see it is in HSL mode here, but you can input pretty much any format that you want for the color. So I have mine in hex code, for example. So I'll just paste that one in here. So this is my color that I have. So just make sure that we have the little hashtag there before, and I just press enter, and there you go. Now I have the branding color that I want. And that's pretty much the only thing that I need to do for the first step here. So I can now switch between the light and the dark, and if I switch to the dark color here, then you will see that I still have the blue one here. So I'll do the same thing for the dark one. And you can do this with different colors, of course. If you want to have one color for the dark one and one for the light one, then you can absolutely do that. You just need to change these colors. So there we have it. Now I just changed the colors for this one. And if I save it down here, and now it will be active for my site. So anything I will actually look at here now in light mode and dark mode will now have my new branding color here. So you will see it everywhere where we have the branding colors. So this one will be the first setting that we need to do. So this one is now super easy to do. The second thing is if you want to have this one set by default to any color. So I want to have my site for dark, for example. That will be the standard one. And also we can select if we want to have the color scheme toggle. So if I zoom out here, because now we are in desktop mode. So at the bottom here, if I want this to show or not, I can then click on this one, and then you will allow your users to switch between these. I want to give people the option to switch between them, but I want to have the dark one as my first setting. So if I save this again here, and if I move over then to, so I have the dark mode. This is what most people now will see when they enter my site. Next up will be then to change the logos here, because I would like to have my own branding. As you can see in the video here, I have a signature that I want to use. So on the logos here now, you can now either change the text logo here, and if I just put 2 here, then you will see it will change up there. And you can have a slogan. It will show below then the logo here. And you can also select a different font variant for it. And I'm looking over here because I have my big monitor over here. So I'm not ignoring you or the fact that you see things, let's see, where do you see it? Here, but I see it on the other side. But here you can change it. So if I want to have, for example, I want to have trebuchet instead, then you can actually do that and change it. Maybe you can take something so you can see that it is different. So Georgia perhaps, then you see it will change the font up here. Now I don't want to have a text logo, I want to have an image logo. So we're going to start on the desktop version that we have here. So the first one will be for the light theme. So I can switch over to the light theme, and I can upload now a signature here, one of my logos. And for the light one, I want to have my black signature here. So if I upload that one, you will see it actually does not show up very well, and that is because we're going to change this a little bit later. And for the dark theme, if I switch back to that one, and this one will look a little bit easier. Now you can see that I have my little signature there. And you can also select here how big you want to have it. For me, the 90 is actually working pretty well. So I think I want to have it the standard, or was it 70? Maybe, we'll see. We're going to change that later on anyway. So we can save this one now. So now we will have this one will be set there. And the next thing we want to do is to go to page layout. So I want to have the sidebar instead. So under page layout, you can choose the classical one, which is the one we have now with a little header, or we can have the side panel. And I want to have the side panel here. That's the setup I want to have. And then we have for the other different products that we can have here. So we can go into those later on and just select what we want to have. But for now we'll leave them as standard here so we can see what they look like, and then we will move into those areas once we have completed that. So again, I just save this one. And the next step here then is the system UI, and then we can select new colors for it. And I see what I haven't upgraded this one yet. So we can again select whatever font family we want to have here. You can also add custom ones, but I'm not going to show that in this video. We're just going to use the default here today. So I don't feel that I need to change anything. I like this font. So we're just going to keep this one. But if you want, you can switch over to old style, for example, if you want, and then all the content here will be changed. But for now, I would just use the system UI, so it looks nice and crisp. And you can also use the font size here. So this one is in percentage. If I scale it up here, then it will change a little bit on how things will look. And you can also change the colors here if you don't like the colors. So if you won't like to have a different color for the link color, for example, so it stands out a little bit, then you can actually do that. Otherwise they will be, this one is actually specific ones. But you can change all the colors here if you want. I'm just going to use the standard one, just to show you how great this new setup is out of the box. So we're using the standard ones for typography. And for header, we can actually change it a little bit. So on this one, I can actually switch between the layouts. So tablet view, and you can also go to mobile view, so you can see what it looks like. And we haven't actually uploaded the logos here yet. So we're going to go back and do that. But you can change then the height of the header here if you want. So whatever you want. And you can also change the header background and header color. So if you prefer to have this one in a different color, if you want to have this one as primary, for example, and you want to change the text to something else, then you can do that. For now, I will actually just revert this one without saving. Like so. And like I said, I forgot to actually upload this one in mobile mode also. So let's do that. It's the same process. So for the light theme, I want to have my dark. And for the dark one, I want to have my light. And if I switch over now, you will see that I have this logo up here. So that's so far we have branded it with the logos. Sorry, I forgot that one. And we'll check the header one. So we can change the height for it. And now for the side panel, let me just show you, I think we still have, so now if I switch over to the light mode, you'll see that this one is dark. I don't want it to be dark, I actually want this one to be white, just like this one. So what I can do then is, one thing is I can change the header up here, if I want. Or I can go to colors, and this is where I can change the sidebar. So the first thing I want to do is change the background. And I want this one to be white. So this is what it looks like. But now all the links here are messed up, so I can't see them. So what we do then is we go to the link color, and I change those to our, which one do I want to have? I want to have it for secondary text, perhaps. Secondary will be fine. And that is just for the text. So all of these are links. So I want to change the link color here. So I go down, and again I take the secondary. And now I can see all of the links again. And I would like to have a different on the hover one. So this one I would like to have a different color on. And I would like to have the primary here. And I think I want to have the darker one. So now if I hover over it, they are gray. And if I select this one, for example, then it will be a little bit more brownish tinted. And I can select, I can check different ones that I want to have. So this one probably feels a little bit too light. And maybe I can go up a little bit. Yeah, this one feels better for me. So that way I can change this a little bit. And if I want, then I can also have the link color. So when you hover over it, I can have a different color. So this one I can do a little bit lighter. And I can have then the link background, the active one. I can now change it so it's a little bit darker. Or a little bit. So this one feels better. And you can play around with this just as you see fit. So maybe I want to have this even. No, I want to have it this one. Yeah. I probably want to have it a little bit darker. Remember, we need to take care of the people that have, like me, a little bit poor eyesight. So make sure that you have good contrast when you do these things. But so far we have now changed this. And if I switch over to the dark, you will see this one is only for the light. And so we have only changed this side panel for the light theme. And we can do the same thing if we go to side panel and switch over to the dark, then you will have different colors here. So we can do the same steps for the dark theme. So that is the side panel. And for content here, you can now select, for example, the max width. I have a very large screen, so if I want, I can make sure that this one, the max width is actually 2500. Just remember that if you do this, people that are on very large screens will sometimes have areas where the text is very long and that is difficult to read. So you probably want to have it somewhere like 2000 or something like that. I will just keep it at 2500. If you want, you can have, so the sidebar, if you have a sidebar here, it will flip on the large screens. So you will actually have the sidebar here, and then you will have whatever content you place on the side here will actually switch to the left side. And I don't really like that, but you can have that if you want. And the avatars that you see here, you can select if they are rounded, or if you remove it, then they will be squared. So that's a preference for you. You can just keep it for squared ones for now. And sticky sidebar, that is if you want the sidebars to actually stick. So that is the one on the side here. I don't have one on this one. So then it will actually stick when you scroll down, which is something I recommend to have. And again, here you can change the body background for both the light version and the dark version. So if you prefer to have something else than the standard one, that's the one you see in the background here. Then you can switch that one. And content boxes, these are basically all of the content boxes that you see. We only have one now, so but here you can actually change the border radius. So if I do that, for example, you see the corner here now becomes very pointy. And if I put it up a lot, then you'll see very much a lot of border radius. I prefer to have it around 5. I think that one is the soft version. And shadow, that's probably easier to see when you are here. So if you pull that one up, you will see that you get the shadow here behind it. That is now lifting up the content a little bit. So for certain types of content, that could be really great. I prefer to have the standard because, like me, Aaron have good taste and the standard looks great. So yeah, there you have it. So that's content boxes and body. And then for the footer, so this is this part here. So if we want, we can change the color for it. I think on dark it looks great. Maybe I want to have this one a different color on the light theme though, because it looks a little bit weird, a little bit hard here. So then I can again go in and I can select another one. So maybe I want to have, and I can play around with which one do I actually want. So in this case, I probably want to have a light one. So this one could probably work. And you can also then select your own color if you want that. But in order now then for the text to actually show up, I need to have a darker one. So I can now have the secondary color again. And now it will have very high contrast here. I can probably bring it down if I want. And whatever color I choose here, I can even have it so it's completely unreadable if I want that. But let's do the secondary and the light one. I think the secondary here was a little bit hard, but secondary light will be just fine. So that's the footer, and then for mobile navigation I can then select where do I want to have the navigation icon. So if I switch to this one, so I can choose then if I want to have them here or if I want to have them in the header. So then it will be up here. I think I want to have it maybe in the footer. I think this looks nicer. And also show text labels in footer bar. So the text under here, so if I turn these off, then we'll just have the icons. I think it's nice to have them on and just to help people a little bit. So there we have it now. Now we have configured both the light and the dark, so we actually have a theme. So that's the first step that we just do, to just make sure that we have the layout properly done. Then I just save this one now. And then we close the editor. And now this is what we now have for our site. So now if I look at anything if I look at blogs here, for example, you will see that everything looks nice, crispy, and you have a very decent balance now between the colors that you have selected. And this is just one color change that we made. And this one actually is a bug, I think. This one should be dark. Even on hover. So that's the first step that we do. So the next step we need to do, I would like to have this one centered. And at the moment we don't have any way to actually do that using the theme editor. So we're gonna go into theme editor again, and I'm gonna actually do this by using the custom CSS. So the way I do it, and I'm just going to fetch this one from my other site here on my other screen. So this one is actually, I have let's see, it is, I'm going to grab all of that one. I'm just going to show you. I have 3 classes actually that I have created on my demo site. So I'm just going to go in and paste those here and go through what they are. So the first one is then for the IPS logo. That's that one. So what we are doing then is we are saying that we want to have this with margin on both sides should be 0, and then we want to, for the top and bottom they should be 0. And then we want to have it auto, and the margin should be automatically set on the logo itself. And what that one will do then is that it will actually center it, because this is one of the CSS magics that as long as you do this one, it will actually center the image itself. And I'm actually hard coding in setting this as 90 pixels. And that is because I want to have, just to show you that you can do it. And then I want to have different, because if I do this and set 90 pixels here, for example, then it will be kind of weird on a mobile, because 90 pixels is very large on mobile. So I'm actually resetting this one. So I'm setting the auto for the margin. And I'm setting inherit, so it will actually fetch the ones that is set in the original CSS. And this one is actually for the footer header, so I'm going to show you what that one is. It's down here in the bottom here. So what I'm doing for that one, I'm just giving it a slight background, because by default it does not have a background color. So I'm actually using RGBA here. So if you don't know how those work, these 3 values here would actually be the color values. So 0 is black and 255 is white, and then the last one will tell you the opacity of the background. So in this case I have a 0.3 opacity for it, so it's not so hard. And this is so I can use it for both the light and the dark theme. And I just need to paste this one in here. I click on preview, and you will see that this one is now centered and it's a little bit larger. And if I save this one now, it will be this way permanently. And if I switch now to mobile, you will see that it's not that large, because I've actually reset this one, so it will actually be the standard setup for it again. And I don't have anything down here in the footer right now, but I will show you when we start making the start page. So now we have created a little bit of a theme. I've showed you some CSS tricks that you can use, or some way you can actually input those. So the next step is, right now if you go to home here, if you click on this one, by default it will be forms, unless you have selected something when you install it. And I want to move this over so we have a proper start page. So in order to do that, I need to select pages as the default application. And if you're like me, it's been a while and you forgot how to do that. Let me just show you how to do that by jumping into the backend here. So in the backend, we just go to applications. So we click on system and applications. And normally I would update, but I haven't done this one yet. And then I just go to pages here. And I will set this as default app. And when you go back here now, you will have pages as your first start page. And by default, the only pages that you have will be something called articles. And this will be a database with articles, and that's not what we want to have on our first page. So I will go into this section here. Let me just see so I can find it. This one, and we will go to pages. So we will go to pages and pages. Makes sense. And this is where you will see we have one called articles, and I want to add a new page here. And I will just name this one home. And I want to use the suit HTML wrapper, so that way you get all the headers and the sidebar and everything like that. If you want, you can then customize these ones for SEO purposes, and you can also select if you want to add this to the front navigation menu. So let's add that one, and just save this one. And then make sure that everyone can see it, because it's our start page. And then what we want to do is to make default page for this folder. That means that when you come into the main page, so to speak, you will have one of these that will be the default one. And you can do this for the folders as well. So you can say that if you go into a folder, then this will be the default one. So if I set this one as the default page for this folder, which will be the root folder, then now when I go to home, I will now have the home page. And you will also see that I have home here in the navigation. So we're going to go to the navigation, move this one up a little bit, and change the icon for it. So we go to System again, and Menu Manager, and then we will see here is Home, the one we created, and it's now on position 3. So these little handlebars here will allow us to reorder, so we just drag this one to the top, and then you will see that we can publish this one. But first, I want to edit this one. And at the bottom here, first you can do a lot of configuration for it. We're not going to go through what kind of things you can do with pages in this one. But we just want to choose an icon, and I just want to search for a house, and I just want to have the standard home, and then I want to save the menu item, and you will see we have that little home. And then when I publish this one, just to make sure that you see that nothing actually happens here, nothing has happened. But as soon as I publish this one, we will now have it on the start page. And you will see that this one will now be the main area that we have. So now that we have come this far, and we can actually close this one now, because we are done with that one pretty much. The next step here now will be to go through and create the content that we have here. So we're going to jump back to the old one. So let me just bring that one over from this side. So I'm just going to bring this one over here so you can see it. So what we want to do then is this one I will just copy paste so you can see how that one works. Let me do that so you don't need to see my bottom part here. And I will create a blog in Pages just to show you how to do that. And then we're going to create some content for it, and we're going to create this carousel first. So this will be our first addition to it. And then these are the events. Stories we're not going to do because that is a custom database. It works the same way as the topics here, where we actually fetch things from the form. And then we're going to have 2 areas for the clubs. So we're going to have one for basically all the clubs that exist that the user can see. And then we're going to have a little slider for only the ones that the person is actually a member of. And this one will actually be collapsed if they don't have, and they're not part of any clubs. So then this one will actually stretch out. And then we have an activity stream and articles. So this is the articles that I just showed you on the other side. So this one we will just create a few articles so you can see what it looks like. We're going to add some images to the gallery, and then we're going to split the bottom part here. So we actually have 2 sections, and then we're going to put in the who's online and member statistics here, so they are always there. So what I will do then is I will create this blog with you, and then I'm going to add these things to the footer. And then I'm going to pause a little bit and create some content for you so you can see how, because I don't think you want to see me do a bunch of lorem ipsum and upload some images. So I'm going to spare you from that one. But let's do the create a blog first. And we're going to make it super simple. So if you check it, see what I have here. It's basically an image. We have a headline and text. That's it. We don't have a bunch of other things in here. So let me jump back then to, this is our main site now. So the first thing we need to do then is just to go to databases. So we go back to Pages again, and we click on databases. So by default we have the articles. That's the one we saw. So we'll just create a new database, and we'll call this my blog. And then you can write the description, and you can add a key here. It will automatically be set. Maybe we can just do my blog. If you don't create anything here, it will be automatically set. You can select if you want to use categories, page title, all of these fancy things. I'm not going to go through how to do this one. If you don't know how to create a database, just let me know in the comments, and I will make a separate video for it. But we have the display, and we can set the languages here. And I'm not going to do any of these. I'm just going to, for illustration purposes, just create the database here. And we're going to set the default so everyone can see, and guest cannot add anything. There we go. Now we have a blog here. And you can see now we have the records, we have the categories and the fields. So if we go to the fields, you will see we have title and content. I will have, let's add the publish. And we can just do this so I can see it. And we can have record image is by default here. There we go. So now I can have published date, title, content, and record image. That's all I basically need. And before I can actually see this one, right now it will just be a database and you can't really do much with it. So I need to put it somewhere so we can actually access it. So again, we need to go in, and by default you have a new page here that is called My Blog. So we can edit this one and we can actually use the page title instead. There you go. Now it looks a little bit better. And then if we want, we can then make this page default, and then it will be the start page again. Or we can go to the page editor. So then it would automatically open this one. And by default, it has now created the database here. So the only thing I want to do here is I want to add the category menu. So just drag that one up to the widget. And it will tell you that it cannot actually be seen here because we haven't done anything yet. But if I save this one and reload, then you will see that the categories, and we only have one category called records here. And if I add a new record, you will see that this one will then work pretty much the same way as the articles do. Okay, I did not have any permission for this one, so I'm going to check to see what I did wrong, and I'll come back after I've created some content for this one. But first, let's split the footer up here. So what we want to do here is we want now then go to the page editor. So first we have the theme editor, which will allow us to create the themes. And next we want to go to the page editor, and this is where we want to create the different components. So you will by default have different widget areas, and they are different depending on the page that you created. So some of them will have a sidebar and some of them will not. In this case, I created one and it did not have the sidebar. So I can go back and fix that one. But for now, we just need to add the two components that we want to have down here. So what we wanted to have is the who's online, and then we want to have the member statistics. So we can either scroll here or we can search up here. So if I search for member, then you'll get the member statistics. And all I have to do is drag it down here. And now we will have member statistics, and it will show up now in full view of the whole widget. And the next thing I wanted to have is who's online. So what I can do here now is I can actually put them together here. And they will by default split into two here. But I have different options depending on what I want them to do. So below here, if you click on one of the widgets, you will actually get these new functionalities that Aaron has created, and they are amazing. So for example, right now we are, this is the how should we put it, the template that basically tells you how these widgets that you placed in here should behave. And then you can set the space between them and also the space above. And you can also do the spaces here, these are the width, and these are the margins. Now this is the padding. But this one is the one that's interesting here, because you can set it here now. If you set it to carousel, for example, then you will see it's now in full size. And I get this little toggle down here, so I can actually switch between the two. And you can have as a grid, so then you will, by default, you will have 3, I think. If I put another one in here, there will be a grid. You can center them, so then they will only take up the space that they actually have been assigned. You can put them as a side column, and this one will actually put them below each other, and for this purpose it looks a little bit weird. But what we want to have is bricks. We want them to be created now side by side like this. And now when I have saved this one, we will always have these. And remember when I did the CSS part there, I said that in the footer. So it's these backgrounds here. So if you don't have these, and we can actually do inspect here, so you can actually see that we have, this is the one that we created. So if I remove this one, you will see that they are just with a title here. And I thought that one looked a little bit too thin, so I added this little background here just to make sure that you have it a little background. And since this one is in black and it's very soft, it will just make this area slightly darker. And also when you are online, and now I haven't updated the colors here, And so then you will see that it also works on the light version here. Cool. Let's go back and no, I wanted to change the page first. So let me just jump back then into pages here. And we want to go to home. And this is the one that I forgot to toggle. So this one will say show the suite sidebar on this page. So I need to click this one, save and reload. And then if I go back and I change this one, and then if we go into the page editor, now you will see that I have a little sidebar widget here. So now we can actually build with a sidebar widget there also. So what do I want to have first? Well, the first one is to decide then, do I want to have all of them in the top one or the middle one, or what would I want to have? And the second one is, what do I want to have here? So what do I want to have? I want to have something with member, probably. No, not member. Let me just go back to the other site very quickly. And I will actually drag this one to my other window again, so I can see it properly. So member statistics was the one we had up here. So let's start with that one. So we want to have, so we have member statistic down here, but I also added it up here just to show. So all I have to do is drag it up here, and now we will have a member statistic there. And the next thing we want to have is the contributions. So popular contributions. I just place this one below, and you will see that it will jump up a little bit, and then I can drop it, and then it will add below this one. And now if I also put in the most contributors, and I want to have this one on top of this one, and I want them to become a slider, so I can switch between the two. So all I have to do is drag this one, and I'll place it on top of that one. And automatically it will now create so I can slide between those two. This is an amazing functionality. You just need to remember that when you do that, the content will actually, the height of this box will actually be the highest of the components or the widgets that you actually placed in there. But basically what will happen is if you have one that is twice as high, then this box will also be twice as high. And then when you switch between them, you will see that there will be a large empty area below this one. And this is by design, so you don't have to scream and say that this is a bug. Because what happens otherwise is when you switch between the different content areas or the different widgets, you don't want the sidebar to actually jump up and down. So there we have that one. Now I want to have, in one of these I want to have the feed from my new blog then that I created. So what I will do then is I will search for that one. So you can have a database, and you can also have then a feed from it. And if you go down here, you will have these are the two databases that we have. So at the bottom of pages, you will find the actual database. So you have a lot of these, then there will be a lot of feed from. And you can also store these ones, so then it will show up at the top. So for this one, I will just drag it in, and let's just put it in the middle here. And now it will say that you cannot see this one. So you need to click on the pen to edit it. And then you need to, I can change this one, my blog. And you can select which categories. We only have one, or you can select all. For me, for example, on my blog, I have one category that is called drafts. So for that one, I don't want anyone to see what is in drafts. So even if it's hidden, I don't even want it to show up on the page. So I can unclick this one, and I can select all the ones that I actually want to show. So that's why you can hide a specific category. But for this reason, we will have all. There we go. And you can select then, should you honor permissions, and that one should always be on, otherwise you will set you up for major issues, because sooner or later you will forget what you put here, and then, yeah, better to just keep that one on the content level. You can select different features or certain filters here. You can have status, pinned features, visibility, published, and so on. And you can also select a specific member. So if I want to have a component, for example, or a widget that only shows my articles and no one else, even if it's open for everyone to contribute, I can then select myself here. So I can just type my name, and then it will only show my articles or my content here. And you can select minimum content, minimum reviews, ratings, And the most important one for us here then is how many do you want to show. And for this one I want to show 7 because I want to have a little bit of scroll there. I want to have all of them because I don't write a lot, so sometimes I want to, maybe it takes a while before I get it to 7 articles. And then you have sorting and directions, and you can select tag, and then you can just save this one. And now if I finish this one and reload, nothing happened. Let me see what I did wrong. It's probably because I don't have any articles there yet. So maybe we need to fix that one first. So I will pause here and I will go in and I will create some content for the different content areas. And there's nothing magical about it. I will just use the lorem ipsum site, copy paste some lorem ipsum, upload an image, and that's it. Just so we can actually see content from the articles and the blog and the gallery and stuff like that. So I will be right back, and hopefully the site then will have some more content. So then I'm back again, and I've created a bunch of content, or rather I've created 7 articles, and as you can see these take up the whole front page, and that's not what we want. So we go into the page editor again, and now we can click on this pen here, and we can see that all of these settings are the way we want it. I have created 7 articles or 7 blog posts now in that database. So everything as it should be here. So what we do is we now then, let me just click outside. So if I click on the widget itself, you will see that you have a border around it. And at the bottom here, you will have then the area layout. So you can actually select, just like we did in the footer here, you can click on this one. And now we can decide how do we want this one to look. So the first thing we need to decide then is, do we want to carousel or not? And in this case, absolutely we want to carousel. And we want to have this one as a grid, because that way it will show up properly. Right now there seems to be a little bug, so when you do this it will actually not show here. I'm not really sure why that is. But trust me when I say that this one will now create them as small blocks, and it will then be a slider here. Now you can also, if you have content, for example, for topics from the forum, then you might not want to have, because most of them won't have any images, and it will look a little bit bad when you have a bunch of blank squares basically. So you can click on this one and that will hide the images. Right now I can't click it for some reason, but you can click this one and then you will hide the images for all the content here. So now we have selected grid and we have a carousel. So if I click on finish editing here and I reload it, let me see if we can get it to trigger. Now it does not seem to want to trigger here, so let's do it again. And like I said, this is now, oh sorry, and that's not what I want to click. This is a beta version still, so I'm not really sure why this is happening. And let me just check to see, I'll see if I can trigger it. There are some bugs still, and so this is one of them. So I'm back again, and apparently it was a bug. So what I had to do was to update now to the beta version, and now it works. So let me just show you this one more time. So we're going to do this one from the beginning. So I'm just going to take this one. I'm just going to remove the widget. And then we're going to find this one again for feed from my blog, and then we're going to drag it in. And this is what happens then when you drag it in. It will by default will have the list view. So what we want to do is want to change this one a little bit. So the first step that we do then is we click on it. We get this little border around it. We click on this one. So right now we have the featured version. So we want to have the grid version instead. And like before, it doesn't really show up. So we need to trick it a little bit. So we want to have the grid and we want to have the carousel. And if I just do this, and let's see, so this one will now it will actually automatically, it actually did what I wanted it to do. There has been some issues where you have done this one and you get it, and I will show you, if this box is filled in, a lot of people get this view and they get confused and wondering, I don't want this one, I want to have like multiple boxes next to each other. So what you need to do is unclick this one, and then you will get them in the line like this, and you can change the sizing of them as well. So I like to have them at 250, then you have them as small as you possibly can get. And you can also choose if you want to autoplay, then they will start scrolling. I don't like that one, and if you have a lot of content like we're going to build on this page, I recommend against it. But you can also select a bunch of other things if you want to have them as wallpaper, for example, and again it will break and you will need to reload it again. And if you click on one, it will take you then to the actual blog post, and it's just a standard. I just added a bunch of blog posts here, nothing fancy for this one. So now we have the blog post. So the next step we want to do is we want to import things from other content areas. And they work pretty much the same way. So anything we want to actually include here, we just need to add things. So let's start by, if we take gallery for example, because that one is the fastest one to actually create things for. So if we go to the gallery, and let's see if I can add any images here. So let me just add a bunch here, so we can just take, they are pretty big, so let's not add too many. Which one do we want? Let's just add these ones. So while these are uploading, so I've just added now a bunch of images to the gallery, just so we can show you how you can add the gallery slider there. So we will just upload a bunch of images here. Let me just check. Submit all the ones, and they are now part of the member albums, and you can put them, you should obviously create the correct structure for it. And if you want to see how we configure the gallery and the blogs and all those kind of things, we can do that at a later video, because this one is quite long already. So there we have it. Now we have a gallery for this one, and if I go to the home page here now, I can now go to the page editor. And now I can choose if I want to have it below this one, so I have it in the different widget area, or if I want to have it directly below this one. That's up to me. And it does not really matter. Let's see, do I have forums? We want to have gallery, and I want to have image feed is the one that I want to have, so I can now put it below this one. And again, I can do the same thing. It will show up the same way as this one. So I want to have a carousel, and I want to have this one then as a, what do I want to have? It's just images. So maybe I just want to have wallpaper. Might be good. And then again, now I get this in full view. So I go here and I will remove this one and I will make them smaller. And now I have an image feed. And I can also select if I want to have slightly smaller space between. So maybe 10 would be a good one. And that's pretty much it. I'm pretty happy with that one. And now you see that when we have the image feed, when we have the wallpaper one, you will see that the text will come above this one. And I could probably go, this is what the minimal will look like. And so I think it looks like only the database will actually be messing around with this one. So you see, anything I pick here will actually be working for this one. So grid one is, and this one automatically will go like that. I can select rows, and that one will then show like this one. And you can select whichever one of these you feel that are working best for you. So for me, I just want to make sure that I have the carousel. I would like to have the feature of the grid. So maybe I'll take the grid one for this one, and I will turn it off, and then you have an image feed here. And then I can just turn that one, and now I have an image, and every time I click on one, it will go in then to the gallery, and you can start working with them there. I think you're getting the idea here of what we can actually do here and how things work. So one thing that maybe I want to show just one more thing, and that is, let's put in here then. So I would like to have what do I want to have? I want to have the articles. Now let's take my blog here, for example. Feed from my blog. I want to have this one here, and then I want to have the, let's see, it's at the top here, I think. What do I want to have? I want to have, I forgot what it's called. I would like to have activity stream is what I want to have. So I want to have this one next to this one. So if you saw what I did there is I did the same thing that we did up here. So basically I took the activity stream, I put it on top, and you can see that it moves slightly to the right when I do that. And if I put it on top here, it was most likely down. That indicates where you can actually place this one. And Aaron, if you're watching this one, could be good to have this one show up as a slightly colored area, so it's visually a little bit easier to understand what happens here. You have a slight background here, but maybe it could be good if that one could be a different color. But if I place it on the side here, now I will have two boxes, just the same way as happened down here. And now I can select this one again, and I can now have, for example, I can have a carousel, and this one will now have the same setup as here. And you can see the activity stream here will now have a ton of empty space, and that is because this one, the feed for my blog, is actually very long. So that will affect all of the things in the slider here. I can also select bricks that we have, then I will have 2, and this is what we want for this one. I can select the grid, and you will also have 2, or you can have side column, then one will be slightly larger than the other one. So if I want the activity stream to be slightly smaller, then I can do that, and I can also do the other way, so activity stream and feed for my blog, so that way they can be different sizes. For this one I will just pick bricks, and this one will just have what kind of content you want to have and how many results. So maybe I will have 7. Oh, sorry, activity. And this is a bug. This should not happen, of course. But it's good that it happens when you do these things, because then you can see that this one needs a little bit fixing. And now you can see this one turns into an extremely long one. So I'm going to change the numbers here and have 5 perhaps instead. Like so, and then we can select then what we want to have for the layout for this one. So we can actually pick the one that is feature actually works pretty good here, but maybe I want this one to be a little bit bigger than that one. So maybe I want to actually select. So for this one, let's make the articles a little bit larger and the activities slightly smaller. So give them a little bit more space. And for this one, let's see, do we want to have a different one? No, I think actually feature will be the correct one I want to have here. And I don't want to have a carousel either. So I can just finish this one. I can reload this. And then you can see that we now have 2 different sections here and different content. We have 2 sliders and that we have here as well. And if I want, I could actually bring in, just to show you how it looks if you want to duplicate the layout I have for the topic feed, for example. So we can actually go in again. And here I can actually do a topic feed if I want that, but I don't have anything in the articles or in the forum yet. So I can take this one and just show you that in this one, I could, instead of using this one, I can have the minimal grid and I can have a carousel for it. And again, I want to make sure this one is not set, and I can actually do this a little bit smaller. So then I get this kind of view, so I can actually have more content here in a smaller area. I can also have without the carousel, and then I can have minimal, for example. Then it will be very small, and I can hide the images. And if you do this, then you will just have the text here. So there are a lot of customizations that you can do here. And I think this one has dragged on far too long as it is. But I hope this one gave you an idea of how I built my test site. So you can actually start building your own pages, and also how different areas work, how to customize the colors and stuff like that. Now, if you have any questions on how I build specific things on the test site, just let me know which item it is, or what page or what functionality it is that you are trying to replicate. But in general, it's very easy to work with these ones. There are still a few bugs that they are ironing out. So sometimes it doesn't behave quite as you would like it to. But just remember that this is still the beta, so before we come over to the release version, things should have improved quite a lot. So I hope you like this content, and if you want me to do more content like this, then please let me know, and I will do my best. So until next time, I guess the only thing remains for me to say today is that I hope that you have a great day and an awesome week.